Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Empowering Real Talk. It is your girl, Coach K. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure you have subscribed to the Upgraded Mindsets Media channel and make sure that you are favoriting Empowering Real Talk on your favorite streaming platform because, as you know, these conversations are necessary. I am super excited to dive into some great conversation today. If you are watching on YouTube, then you see I am not here by myself. So I'm going to allow the honor of my guest to introduce herself. Hello.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Coach K. Your energy is absolutely amazing. It's such an honor and privilege to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. Please
Absolutely.
tell the listeners all about you. Tell them a little bit more about who you are, what you do, because I'm excited.
Yes, my name is Lin Yuan Su. If you can see how you spell it, that's how you spell it. Where do I start? I was a registered dietitian. So I love by divine reason that behind you, there is a plaque says entrepreneurial nutrition facts. It's very familiar to me because that's what I spent 6 years of my post-secondary education in university to study. I studied nutrition because I love food. I'm a foodie and I always be so interested on what happens after you eat it. Combining both passions together, I studied nutrition, and that career path took me to be a registered dietitian. I spent 80 years working in healthcare as a registered dietitian. I loved what I studied, but from the very get-go of my employment, I noticed something, which was, is this it? Is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? I don't think I like it. And then I immediately, the first time I heard it myself saying that, I immediately told myself, it's like, yeah, shut up. Yeah, absolutely. This is what I need to do for the rest of my life. Because literally, my parents just spent all of their savings.
Right.
Well, I could have a couple pieces of paper saying I've did
Don't
all the
you
work.
dare say that. Right.
Yes. I didn't even dare to share that with them because I know they'll
I
freak out.
bet. I bet.
Um,
I bet.
but as the years went on, as I was working in that environment in healthcare, I mean, I could feel part of me became smaller and smaller. And
Yeah.
there was a hole inside of me that was a part of me that I knew I have more, not coming from an egocentric place, but come
Mhm.
from this divine calling of I know that I can do more. I want to give more. I want to make a more meaningful impact. But as a registered dietitian, I mean, it's a very important role in healthcare.
Right.
Nutrition is the foundation of everybody's health, but it was not a fit for me. It was just not serving me, nor that I was serving it very well. After 8 years, finally, I got to the day where I kept getting promotion because I thought my ego was saying, I got to get to into more power.
Right.
So I
Right.
kept getting into management positions, higher, higher, higher. And then the hole just became bigger, bigger, bigger to the point where I forced myself to show up to work because a part of
Mm.
me didn't want to go to work. So I had to force myself. I showed up to work. I was actually the first one because I felt obligated as
Yeah.
one of the leaderships team. I showed up so early. There was nobody else in the parking lot. I was the only one there. My car was the only one there. I felt so hopeless and alone and devastated of this so-called quote unquote success. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're so successful." And I was like, yeah, thank you very much. But I didn't
Right.
feel and I started to cry in my car. And I'm a very like what you're seeing right now is my truth. I'm loud, I'm passionate, I'm bubbly. So
Matching spirit. I love it.
okay. And yet sitting there crying first thing in the morning, that was not normal for me. And in that moment, though, I'm very grateful that happened because I made a decision. In that moment, I made a spiritual decision. Something got to change. I didn't
Mhm.
have a plan. I didn't know what to do next. I certainly had not think of through of what do I need to do. I just made a decision because something got to change in order literally for me to survive. And that was a very powerful decision for me to look back to that moment. Literally, the second I
Yeah.
made that, no matter what, something got to change decision. I am going to serve my truth of making this bigger, better impact in other people's lives. And the conversations I was having with other people, the things that showed up in my life and the things I never considered before, things my ego would say, I'm way better than that. Like,
Right.
yet I started saying yes to opportunities that was beyond my usual. And that took me to where I came to realize, well, first of all, I started to get into personal development.
Yeah.
I started to get into getting a coach for myself so I
Mhm.
can grow my own awareness of what is really happening between my two ears. I start to really understand what it means that life can be by my own design rather than by default. And the more I know, the more I realize I'm so passionate about it. And also, I realize I love helping others, especially people who went through what I went through, high
Yeah.
performers. Type A,
Yeah.
who are just in a situation where they know they have more, they can do more, but they feel so stuck. And
Yeah.
I'm passionately helping others discovering what is their truth, and from there taking steps to serve their own true calling. So fast forward, here we are. We met each other, and we got to get talk a
Yeah.
while ago, and yet we hit it off. And it's
I
if
love
you're
it. I love it. Ooh, yes, y'all. So many words that she just threw out there, y'all, that I talk about all the time. If you follow me, if you know, then we talk about the fact that our egos are a hindrance to us, right? We talk about the sense of obligation because we feel like we're obligated to stay in a certain position or in a certain relationship, because of things that have either been given to us, expectations, like so many things to unpack. But y'all know how I am. We've got to break those stigmas. And it is all about the power of this right here. And if you're listening, I'm pointing to my brain because it is all about your mindset. The mind is where everything begins, every thought, every decision. And me and Lynn, we ain't taking that lightly no more. She began her transformational journey. I'm curious though, Lynn. I really want to know, like, what was that like moment when you decided, right? How did you feel about that? Because I know that there was a sense of like worry, especially coming from your parents, right? Because they, put you through school and whatever else. But what was that moment like for you when you were like, okay, this is it. I've got to begin. I don't know what I'm about to do, but all I know is I'm tired and it's time to make these changes.
right. Actually, for me, the fear was very loud before I
Mhm.
made that decision. It was because of fear
Yeah.
that I couldn't even entertain what is my next step. And the only thing I could entertain was within the box thinking, like, okay, maybe I'll do a PhD. Oh gosh, I really don't like research. But that was a fear leading me into it. Keeps
Yeah.
giving me ideas of just staying there. Then you can become the CEO. Then you can be really satisfied.
Yeah.
Well, that was not the truth. But when I made that, no matter what decision, something got to change. Like I said, I didn't have a plan. My plan was that day was not to go into my CEO's office, say, I quit. It was just really, but it brought me so much peace
Yeah.
that I give myself permission to start to entertain, to be open for what's possible.
I love
And that allowed me to really stay in the place of fear is not no longer having me.
this.
Before it was having me because I couldn't
Believe it.
entertain anything else. But after that, it no longer had me. So I could start to look at life from a very different perspective. So my mind start to open for the
Mhm.
awareness of possibility of my truth, of really the steps I would love to take next. And I'm somebody, once I make a decision, then the rest is kind of like, yeah,
Yes.
whatever. I used to describe in this way, and I no longer, because it's not coming from a space of love.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to describe myself as a pit bull. So like the
Mm.
dog,
Yeah. Yeah.
when I make a decision, it's like a pit bull is biting onto a piece of bones, and I wouldn't let it go until I have it. In a way, it's kind of true. But after all those years of growing my own awareness of mindset,
Yeah.
of knowing myself, understanding that I am, my connection with this divine wisdom, and I can truly say from a calm, confident, yet once you make a decision, in a way, it is like you're no longer willing to accept
Yeah.
the fact that you can let go of your goal, your vision, your dream, your passion.
Yeah.
You're following the flow with this powerful, powerful guidance that we all have. It has nothing to do with the religion, it's the spiritual truth
Mhm.
of we have that in our heart, in our beating heart, through our breath. And then once you step into that, wow, life is so much more free.
Mhm.
Life is so filled with so
It
much
truly
more
is.
joy, happiness, abundance, and fantasticness. I'm making up words now.
I love what you're talking about, especially when it comes to the awareness aspect, because people think when you say awareness that you're just like aware of what's going on like around you right now, right? But it's so much more deeper than that. Me being aware of like the things that I wanted in life, the shifts that I know I needed to make, there were real life, like you said, fear. There were a lot of emotions that I was embracing. I was embracing fear. I was even like my confidence wasn't the best, and it was like, I don't know, but the uncertainty was probably one of the biggest things when we're teaching, right? And, I'm definitely going to speak from this from a coaching perspective, but like, what does awareness work look like for someone that's like never really done that? What would you think, what would be your insight on that? Someone that's just like, has just been going, going, going. They're never aware of anything, but now they're getting to that moment where we were when we knew it was time for transformation. What do you think that would look like?
Yes, I believe when we are ready for conscious transformation, because life is taking you to places, whether
Mhm.
you are aware of it or not. Just
Come
like
on.
life took me to the point where I was crying in the car. Did I volunteer for that? No.
Absolutely not.
Life took me to that place. And this is the place where if you don't want to be ended up in your car crying by yourself or
Yeah,
whatever, going through challenging times. I'm not saying by doing this you can avoid all challenging times.
right.
We don't know what divine's wisdom is taking us. The first thing is always trust everything's divinely. Everything's divinely. There is a
Mhm.
higher power that's guiding you through whatever things may appears to be challenging, hard, and pure difficult.
Right.
And we can all train ourselves to notice our own two signals that signals us to grow and expand. One is longing. You want something more. And second one is your discontent. Things in your life is just like, yee, I want to change this.
I'm
We don't
tired. I'm tired.
it's up to us to notice those things because why I was ended up crying in my car? Was there not moments leading into
Yeah.
that I could now notice? Yeah,
Right.
I really
Looking back, yeah, yeah, I get it.
nothing wrong with that. Everything's divinely. It was divinely happened, designed for me to go through that. It's not about bashing ourselves to say,
Yes.
darn it, how come I didn't see that coming? Be kind to yourself. This is your moment right now for you to just take a breath and say, all right, let me think about are there anything else I want more of?
Yeah.
Maybe you want more dynamic health because you want to finish a marathon. And maybe you want to improve your marriage because it fell a little bit on autopilot. Maybe
Mhm.
you want to get paid more. Maybe you want to take a more responsible position, or maybe you want to 10x your business because your business has that potential. Whatever you want, you
Right.
got to be honest with yourself to simply look at it to say, yes, this is what I want, and your discontent as well. And
Oh,
whatever it is not coming from a place of shame or judgment. Simply give yourself the opportunity, the gift of looking at life to say, you know what? I have been really wanting to get fit, more fitter, if that's a word,
mhm.
and to see more physical shape.
Yeah.
And not coming from, I love my body. I love every single part of it. And I would love to have more. I would love have a couple kids. My youngest, my little one is almost 4. I would love to get back to the place where I can chase them a little bit in the
Mhm.
playground without running out of breath.
Yeah, I get it. Phew, I definitely get that.
So that's
Let
it.
me tell you.
For us to notice
Yeah,
that first, and then we can make a conscious decision of, all right, I'm noticing that. What am I going to do? What
yeah.
am I going to do? So that is a starting point.
That is, it's really a part, like you said, just really being aware that that there's some things that you want to change. They don't always have to be big, drastic changes. And I know, and especially as women, we will definitely like put these big shoes over here to the side because that's the shoes that we want to feel. not realizing that we can fill those smaller shoes because eventually it's going to lead up to that big shoe that we set over there to the side. I want us to understand the importance of taking steps on our journey. And I also want us to understand the importance of celebrating the journey along the way because we lack that so much. I know I teach a lot about that. I know you teach a lot about that because it really is thinking about it. You're overthinking, you're putting too many thoughts in your head as far as how it's going to get done when you just taking it one step at a time is very critical and just as important, if not the most important thing to keep you consistent and going. I love that you talked about kind of the spiritual side of things too, because I really think that we don't combine the two enough. When we talk about holistic, we don't incorporate everything. And that's exactly what the word whole comes into play. That is your mind, your body, your spirit, your finances. Like it is everything. And I think that we put everything over to the side. And that's why we stay stuck because we're not focusing on those things, but they're a part of the transformation that we want to see. And when you are talking to your clients and, maybe onboarding or bringing them on for the first time, how overwhelmed do you think they get when you're like, hey, this is what we're going to work on. These are the strategies that we're going to try to put into place.
Right.
How's that go over sometimes?
Right. I think this is just human psychology. It's
Hmm.
this first of all, spirituality. I used to be somebody who, because I study science,
Yeah,
nutrition is very heavily focused on science.
definitely
I
is.
used to believe that spirit and science there's a division. A spirit study is this woohoo stuff that people just talk about, and science is like, okay, we got to have double crossed, blindfolded, whatever research and to demonstrate it is real. Through my study of transformation, of universal laws, of success principles, manifestation, I came to the realization that spirit is actually the whole of the whole.
Mhm.
Science is humanness trying to logically understand what's going on spiritually. For example, thousands of years ago, our ancestors used to believe that if there's a thunder, if there's a lightning, is the people living up in the sky, the gods are angry. And that's why how they're punishing us. Now we realize, oh, that's a very natural phenomenon. We can explain step to step through science of what's happening. It's the science, the human logic is understanding just a
Yeah.
fracture of this divine wisdom. And we're still on our journey to expand. And later on, I realized the best way for every single person to really reach into your fullest potential and unleash that is to combine your logical mind and your divine connection. We all
Oh,
have a divine
yes.
connection. How do we know that? Take a breath. If you're still breathing, guess what? You have a divine connection. And when we combine that, that's when we have the best strategy that works for you.
Yeah.
Because you can listen to experts all day long. You can read all kinds of good books and look at how other people create their success.
Mhm.
However they did it may or may not work for you. So how can you know what strategies you need to implement? You got to come from the space of knowing who you are. And then from that space, you create a strategy that has your signature, meaning you look at it, it's not like, I have to do this. Like,
Right.
notice that. If you notice that, don't do
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
And it has this light in it for you. You say, maybe you don't even know how to do it well, but you look at that idea, you say, wow, I love this idea. I'm looking forward to implement. Giving you a very, very quick and simple example. I support a lot of coaches in my practice
Mhm.
as through this expanding their coaching business. One of the things I hear over and over is some of my coaches are in their 60s or even 70s. They have
Mm.
this passion of making this impact, but they are so, for a period of time, they're so fixated on the idea of, I have to do social media, but
Yeah.
I don't want to do social media because I don't like it, but I have to do it. So one of the first things is like, okay, it's if you don't love the idea,
Yeah.
don't do it. Because guess what? If you force yourself doing something that is very, you just energetically just like, it's not going to produce you the result you want.
Yeah.
So
That's a
that is the
reality.
process. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a reality. That's a good reality. Now, I'm gonna speak to that because I don't like social media, but I've been on social media for so long. It's now to the point where instead of me just getting off of it, I'm now outsourcing it. Right. So
Yes.
I'm definitely like, I don't like it, but I know that I'm very relevant on there at this stage in the game. Being a coach for the past 6 years, obviously that's where I started, but I don't like it. So instead of me just saying I'm just going to get rid of it all the way around, I'm just going to outsource it. And,
Exactly.
I'll show up on there when I need to, but the consistency is still there. So there's definitely other alternatives, but I agree with you because it's a level of freedom. And especially as entrepreneurs, as coaches, there's a level of freedom in doing whatever the hell it is that you want to do with
Yes.
business, right? Making sure that your structure is great, making sure that your ecosystems are good, but also making sure that you are good from a personal perspective. Because
Right.
if you're not putting in policies to make sure that your well being from a personal standpoint is good, your business is not going to reflect any type of growth, development, or anything like that. And again, it does involve our mind being able to say, we've got to have that conversation with ourselves. We've got to reflect enough to know freedom is an internal experience. I've realized that. I've come along that on my journey. My freedom comes from within. Now, as far as world situations, we're not even talking about that in this episode, okay? I'm talking about from an inner perspective
Right.
because I'm not allowing any outer experiences to mess up my inner freedom. Does that make
Absolutely.
sense? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm not doing that. I'm
Yeah.
definitely not doing that. And I think that that also carries, with the clients you serve, the high achievers, realizing that there's a way of becoming versus achieving and
Absolutely.
that they're two different things, understanding that they're two different things and that you've got the steps to get to where it is that you want to be from a holistic standpoint. I love all of the feedback that you gave because I think it's super important that we understand that. As we get ready to close out here, I would love to ask you, like, what's one, maybe like even an identity shift of sorts, that you believe everyone should explore from a personal perspective, from a professional perspective, and even from an entrepreneurial perspective? Because one thing I know, I work with women, when they start talking about their clarity from a personal note, most of them want to start a business or want to do something, with regards to that. What's the shift that you believe that everyone should explore?
I believe is this connection with your what is truly coming from your heart, this place of love. We
Mhm.
think we know what that is. Oh, well, I ask a question to people who are starting to get into this work. What
Yeah.
would you love? And people say, I would love to have, a multi-million dollar business. I would love to have a big house and fast cars and Rolex and maybe three of them on the same arm. All of that is great. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Yet, when we truly come from this place of your truth, instead of what your ego is saying, your ego can push you through a lot of unnecessary challenges in life.
Come on. Tell them again. Tell them again.
And when we are willing to really listen, take a breath to listen to your truth, what would you truly love? For the longest time, I thought I would love to have two kids, and the second one must be a boy. My first one is a boy, my second one is a boy. I never ever even entertained my truth of why I'm so rigid on
Mhm.
two boys. I thought about it, and people ask me why do you want two boys? I would say, oh, it's because I'm already a diva. I cannot handle another diva. That was my mouth. But later on, after our first child was so easy, first try, boom, pregnant, easy peasy. Second one, we spent 3 years wanting it, couldn't
Mm,
get pregnant. And I didn't know why
yes.
until to the point as I was connecting with my spirit, my truth, love. I start to realize as a little girl, I grew up in China. In Chinese culture, it's parents have this ownership of their children and they can do whatever they want. Especially when I was growing up, there
Mhm.
was no laws protecting children from physical punishment or any other things. And my parents out of love, have a high expectation of me to grow into the best I can, they beat me up on a daily basis without knowing what they were doing. But it was just
Right.
what I went through. I never ever had any hatred towards them as a grown up woman. But then I realized I've never ever acknowledged their inner child, that little girl inside of me
Yeah.
who is so afraid of life, as I am calling in this second child while refusing a girl. And then she showed up telling me, I'm kicking this life out of you because we cannot have another lifetime because being a girl is too scary. And it's through growing my own awareness, my
Yeah.
own connection with love. Then I realized I've never loved that little girl. This is call it a miracle, call it whatever, every child is a miracle. When I had that awareness, when I realized,
Yeah.
wow, I've never acknowledged my inner child within 7 weeks. Too much information, but I peed on a stick. I got
Yep.
2 lines.
Hey, 2 lines.
That's my daughter.
Yeah.
She is a true testimonial of what is the power within us, not outside of you. It's
Yep.
power within your own beating heart. Through this divine connection, through this spirit wanting you to have more. And we bring in our logical side. Hire a coach if you feel called to,
That
and
part.
to really amplify your life so you can have more money, working less time, have more joy, and build more fulfillment and impact on the planet Earth. I truly believe when more and more people are doing that, especially women, because we are very influential, we are
Yeah.
making this world a better place.
Yes, we are. I agree. Percent. Woo! Powerful words to end. I want to thank you first off for sharing that story because I think there's so many of us that really are going to be able to take that and make it align with things that they've got going on, because it is, once you really like dug inside and was like, I know what I need now, finally, I'm really going to embrace that instead of running from it, instead of suppressing it and hiding it. When it comes to suppressed emotions, let me tell you something, I was a pro at that. So I can relate to that on so many levels, but I'm so happy that that little girl actually has come out. And I'm so happy that everything that you have acquired, so many things from a personal and just being an amazing coach and mindset strategist and everything that you're doing to make differences in these high achiever lives because baby, they need you. And I hope they appreciate you because they need you. Okay. I love it. I
Thank
love
you so
it.
much, Kay.
So please share with us what you've got upcoming for 2026 as we roll in and what's upcoming for you. And let us know where we can find you at on all socials.
Yes, my name is quite unique. And when you type it out on the major social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you will see my face. And I believe I have a quite unique face as well. So
And do but beautiful.
thank you. Thank you. And I love to connect. I love to, whether you have a question, whether you simply want to connect, whether you want to check out, every single month I do a webinar. And my webinar are around topics of mindset first, and then we implement aligned strategy and actions and to bring the success you want with ease and flow. That's my process, especially in business, especially in entrepreneurship. And so check me out. And if you feel called to reach out, do not be shy. I don't bite. And I would love to get to know you and hear your aspiration, what you are creating. If you have a question, by all means. I think Kay is very much the same way. We are not like,
Yeah.
hey, pay and then I'll tell you. No, our
Yeah.
passion is like, let me support in
Yeah.
whatever way we can. We are having fun and knowing that if we are meant to work together, we will be working together.
Absolutely, which is why these podcasts exist, you guys. I want you to know that these are the conversations that I know a lot of us need to have, want to have, may not know where to begin to have these conversations. So, like Lynn said, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Don't hesitate to reach out to her. Her link information will be in the show notes. So you guys can definitely make sure that you've got quick access to that. But Lynn, I want to thank you so much just for coming in and bringing your dope energy. Cause I'm like, yes, I get so excited when I got people to match my energy, y'all. Y'all know how I am. So, but thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much.
much for being here. Thank you for bringing some empowering real talk. Listen, you guys, share this with somebody that may need to hear the conversation that we had today. Okay. We are no longer gatekeeping. We're not suppressing things. We are really expressing ourselves and we are really figuring out what we want to do from the inside so we can make that outside impact. All right. I appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Stay empowered, baby.